Hello, I'm Miloni Bhatt, and welcome to this special conversation, part of the fourth edition of ET Prime Women Leadership Awards 2023, which recognizes and salutes women leaders who exemplify the spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation, and excellence, and who are role models. Our focus today is on the hiring trends for women and how organizations can build a pipeline for women leadership. I'm very pleased to welcome my guest today. Shreehari Rao is the founder director of Accrete Executive Search. This company was established in November 2020 and it specializes in CXO, leadership, niche, mission critical, gender diversity roles across functions and levels, spanning technology, industrial, consumer, BFSI, and pharma and life sciences segment. Before co-founding Accrete, Srihari worked with ABC Consultants, Stanton Chase International, and RGF Executive Search. Srihari, welcome to Economic Times.
Hello, Miloni. Pleased to be here. Nice meeting you.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here with us today. And, I want to talk about the impact of the macroeconomic gloom on the hiring for senior roles. Now, many experts have pointed out that recruitment for top-level positions in the tech industry especially has decreased by 60 to 80% year on year, and the hiring prospects have become gloomy due to a funding slump. Furthermore, Foundit, previously known as Monster, Insights Tracker for January 2023, has reported a 16% drop in demand for leadership roles compared to a 7% decline for entry-level positions. After a promising first half of 2022, there are indications of stagnation and a possible downturn in the tech industry due to various macroeconomic factors, as per some of the experts. Now, what I'd like to know is this data being reflected in your business of executive search? And tech aside, which are the other sectors that are still hiring?
Yes, Miloni. Even we have seen various reports as far as leadership hiring are concerned. But if you ask any executive search consultant, he will talk to you from his firm's or her firm's perspective. Okay. So you will get a very limited view as far as leadership hiring is concerned. Firm A is angle is maybe 180 degrees, firm B maybe 90 degrees. So from that perspective, everyone will say that the market dynamics has not affected their firm's performance. So which is true to Accrete also. With our set of clients in technology and non-technology sectors, we have not seen any significant change in leadership requirements. In fact, we are quite overwhelmed with work. The 2023 is looking up for us. We are going to do much better than what we did last year. Last year we did very well. So compared to that, this year is going to be much better for us. And talking
about right, okay, that's interesting.
Okay. See, there are a lot of media reports which says leaders have quit companies, leaders have been sacked. But at the same time, that is also creating a vacuum in leadership in those companies, which can't be just filled up by internal promotions always. Okay. So apart from tech, there's a lot of hiring which is still happening. If you look at the engineering companies, the infrastructure companies, the automobile segment. Just today we saw that Hyundai is going to invest 20,000 crores in the next 7 to 8 years in Tamil Nadu. Maruti is looking to double its production capacity. So as far as the India story is concerned, I think we're still on a very good wicket.
All right, and that's music to everyone's ears. But what's your take on the slump in hiring for mid to senior roles in the Indian startups, all linked to the macroeconomic gloom and cost-cutting measures? And, what do you make of the future outlook?
Okay, see, if you look at startups, you can put them broadly into 2 or 3 buckets. The first bucket are the aggregators who have been aggregating various services, have been looking for funding and offering a platform for these services or products to be sold through their websites. And the second one is the people who are offering actual services and products. So if you look at the second set of startups which are offering services and products, there has been no slump in them. They've been doing quite well. It is the first bucket where the economy has hit them really bad because the investors also have realized that these are all cash burning enterprises for a period of time. See, 2021, 2021, 22, people were in a rush to invest, and a lot of HNIs were in a rush to get a buck for their money. So I think some indiscriminate funding also has happened, and these companies have nothing to offer, nothing, there is no differentiating factor for them. But if you look at the
Right.
startups offering products and services, they're still doing well, they're still hiring.
Okay. All right. Give us a sense of how women candidates are faring, both perhaps within the startups hiring space and then also, within STEM fields, maybe largely, especially in India, where we have so many women who graduate in STEM, but, as they progress in their career, we see that just a small number of them are there in jobs and even fewer in leadership positions.
Okay. So you have to look at the social background of our country for this. Okay. Um, Especially what I have been seeing in the last 15, 20 years, women students have been faring far better than men. They're quite smart. They're doing well in maths. Earlier, they thought women had aversion to maths, but that's not the case. Women have been faring very well academically. If you look at the pass percentages or the first class or the distinction holders across the country, play out the niche colleges. I'm talking about the overall average. Women have been faring quite well in education. But what has happened is the smarter women, when they go for higher education, they have been migrating. But there are so many women who have migrated out to US and Europe and Australia today. So that is one part of the women workforce you're losing out to other countries. Second, though they do well in their education, they are under pressure to get married. That is the second part you have to look at. And third part is uh, many of the women have been forced to give up their career midway. Again, various
Right.
factors. Child,
Right.
there's various factors affecting them. But if you talk to many of the upper mid-sized companies in India, so there has been a conscious effort from them to encourage people to come back to work, to encourage
Right.
women to come back to work. Okay, so you see women today, they're being quite successful in various startups. I wouldn't like to name names, but recently we met a company which was bought out by a huge multinational into the food products. Okay, the sisters, I mean, they've done phenomenal work in building up this company from zero to several hundred crores over the last 5 6 years. So there's a change which you are seeing gradually, but you don't see them at the top levels yet. But at the ground level, I feel that there is a change which is
Right.
happening more with the multinationals and very, very gradually with the Indian companies.
That is also interesting to know. And this actually ties in with what I wanted to ask you next. That are you seeing that despite efforts to improve gender diversity by hiring more women, uh, do you see in some ways corporates are failing to retain them in the mid to senior levels? There was a study that was done by CLHR exclusively for ET, and it said that there's only one woman in leadership team of 10. Uh, you know, how, from your vantage, what are the kind of steps that organizations are taking, as you pointed out, to increase diversity ratios, and what is working?
Okay. See, if you look at the CILHR study, it covers even the micro industries and small industries.
Hmm.
Okay. For a moment, you just leave out these industries from our scope, the small industries. You look at the mid-size level, say 3 to 4,000 crores revenues and upwards. These companies
Right.
have put in a lot of efforts to um, hire women, I won't say leaders, I would say women candidates. Okay. In some of the
Oh,
industries, it's inevitable. Whereas, for example, the PCB industry or electronics industry, women call the shots on the shop floor. Okay. Or the garmenting and textile industries. Okay. There are large companies in Bangalore itself, which has got good revenues of 7 8,000 crores. They have hired a lot of women. But as I said, the socio-economic factors put women under pressure as and when their career. Okay. For example, I was talking to a COO of one of our clients. Okay. She's a lady who has been recently promoted. to this role. She's the India COO. She
Right.
still says, I need to make breakfast for my husband and son. So when we get back to her asking, why are you still doing it? No, it's expected of me. I mean, why don't you hire someone to do it? No, they want me to do it. They like to eat what I make. So in spite of being a CEO of a 7,000 crore organization, she's still expected to make breakfast at home in the morning. So there are exceptions. There are women CEOs who may not do this. But here, this is
Right.
majority scene is depicted by this particular example. Okay,
All right.
so there are a lot of
No.
familiar. The societal support is very important for women to continue in their careers.
Right. No, you make a good point, that everyone needs to back a woman so that she can succeed. Um, but I want to touch upon something, the future of work, leadership for organizational success. And succession planning has become an essential part, right, of leadership development. And companies have to ensure that they have a pipeline of leadership. But, talk to us about what are the challenges in finding and developing the next generation of leaders, and what are the trends that you see when it comes to grooming women leaders?
See, unfortunately, there is an unconscious bias in our system against women. Okay,
Right.
though today many corporates pay lip service to the diversity hiring. Okay, and they tend to tick a few boxes. Okay, but when it comes to the actual, for example, take the case of the board directors. SEBI has made it
Hmm.
mandatory that they should have one woman director in the board. So they just
Yes.
got in one woman director.
Hmm.
That's it. Why not more than one? What is stopping them from getting more than one?
Hmm. You
There
tell
are
us what is stopping that.
exactly the mindset. The mindset still hasn't changed in the Indian corporates. Leave out a few exceptions, the Tatas, the Aditya Birlas. There are exceptions, but you look at some of the comparable companies, there is still a mindset. Recently, I think a year back, we saw a huge a fight within the family, not allowing a daughter to come into the board of the company as a South India based group. Okay, so I would like to name names, but we all read what was happening. The men wanted to have control of the board. They didn't want to, though the lady was holding the requisite number of shares, which demanded that she can become a director, she was not allowed. It went to the court, and a lot of things happened. So one is okay. There is still an unconscious bias which is happening. And second thing, when you draft a job description,
Hmm.
this has to be gender neutral.
Hmm.
Okay, so when you you can't be very specific about the characteristics you find in a man to be part of the job description. So job description should become gender neutral. Okay, and the way some of our clients object when I use the word he stroke she should do this. They say no, I don't think we would like a lady in this role. They're very blunt about it. Okay, so things are happening at the ground level. Entry level hiring is happening, and there are making plans to groom them and other things. But I don't think anyone is specifically taking pains to uh, create or make a path for a woman leader. Who are all the women who have become leaders today? I would say they have become on their own steam. Okay, without with the help of their superiors or whoever they are, but there's been no conscious effort by the corporate to create a supporting system for a woman leader to grow in the system.
Okay, that's a little bit disheartening. I hope that things change, especially, it's disheartening because you work on the ground, you work with these organizations,
Yes.
and we were hoping for some good news there. But let's hope that things change. I want to now focus on HR functions as well. A lot of them are expected to be automated and AI driven. You spoke about biases, that creep in when it comes to hiring, and this is when they're actually drafting out the job description. But how do you ensure that, that bias does not creep in with AI coming in, especially when it comes to women, and it does not exacerbate, the already very wide gender pay gap?
See, the moment AI comes in, I think the gender bias is removed. I think it's good. I mean, for entry level, if they're going to use AI for screening resumes, I think the gender bias is removed then and there itself. I don't think AI is going to be a hindrance for increasing gender diversity unless someone has got a vicious mind and he programs the AI in such a way to screen out women candidates. Otherwise,
but Srihari, AI models learn from what is already existing, and you're saying that that bias is already existing. So if they're going to learn from those existing models, then we know that the bias is built into the AI.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless somebody has got a vicious mind and deliberately, manipulates AI. If you're going to, one is okay, AI learns, but if you're going to start a new model with a gender neutral approach, I don't think this is going to be an issue. Otherwise, if you look at any consumer company today, they want to have a lot of women in their sales force, in the sense, I mean, as a sales managers or regional sales heads and other things. But women also are not opting for that. So there are so many intricacies involved. One is whether women would like to opt for such roles and whether the companies are willing to give such roles. Okay, so when I was studying my engineering, we didn't have any women in our batch. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer. We didn't have anyone. Okay, but today things have changed. You find a lot of women opting for civil and mechanical, electrical, which was not their domain, say, 25 years back.
And hopefully, with more women coming in, them becoming more visible across, the mid segment, and then kind of pushing themselves and grooming themselves, with people who are championing them into leadership. Hopefully, the picture changes. And next time we have a conversation, Srihari, you have better things to tell us that, yes, companies are very interested in, protecting diversity ratios and in fact, even driving diversity ratios. But this is now my last question to you.
No. I want to pitch in here. Companies are still very keen on, improving diversity ratios. They're doing.
But you said they're providing lip service to diversity.
No. Some of the old companies. See, there are 2 or 3 sets of companies here. One is the multinationals, one is the Indian multinationals, and third is the old-time companies. Okay, that is lip services with the third part. But
Right.
there are a lot of new Indian companies or the mid-sized Indian companies who are doing everything to hire women candidates, the mid entry level, lateral hiring. They specifically ask for women candidates when they're hiring for functional head roles. They have created programs within the organizations to fight bias. These programs are for all men and women together. Okay, basically to understand the role of a woman in the society and in an organization, and how to support and how not to, how to eradicate bias. There are developed programs for this, and this is by all Indian corporates, not multinationals.
That's wonderful.
Okay, that is one. And second is some are specifically making efforts to create gender neutral job descriptions.
That's good.
Okay, and third is, see, when a woman reaches a top position, she needs to be more guarded than a man because she's being judged by the men around her.
Yeah.
So again, they're educating the senior leadership also how to deal with this. Okay, and fourth thing which has happened over the years is, if a woman needs to be promoted, she has to perform at X plus Y level, vis-a-vis a man who can perform at X level and get the same job. So they are taking steps to remove this bias or remove this X plus Y performance level expectation from the women. And they have made the appraisal system very gender neutral, applicable to see, you can make this mechanical, we can make it mechanized.
Right.
At some point, human intervention is required. So when human intervention comes into this appraisal process, they need to be very, very neutral. So the HR has been very conscious about it. But what I was talking to you about was the actual leadership role. Are they in a position to accept a woman CEO? Are they willing to accept a woman managing director? Are they willing to accept a woman chairman? No.
That is a long road still.
Yes, yes. Otherwise, yes, a lot of things have been done. For example, Siemens themselves have, specifically recruiting more women this year to
Hmm.
set right the ratio of their workforce. TCS, I think 40% of TCS workforce is made up of women. Okay, they're all doing very good work as far as the entry level, mid level is concerned. But when it comes to the top position, can you imagine L&T being, ruled by women?
I can.
Okay, it's very difficult. It's such a male-dominated organization. Okay,
We have so many manufacturing enterprises which are led by women and, doing well. So,
perfect example is Revati of Flextronics. She's doing a wonderful job there. Okay, there are women who are led, but again, that mindset change has still not happened. When I'm speaking from my personal experience, when
no, and we completely
when I proposed, an excellent
candidate.
general counsel as a women candidate to one of my clients, they
Mm.
shut down. They said, no, we do not want a lady here.
Yeah, that is sad to hear. That is really sad to hear.
So that's what
And
I
I
mean.
hope
That unconscious bias has to go.
has to go. Let's hope that firms like yours keep pushing women candidates, and people take a bet on them and understand that perhaps having women is despite the fact that there's so much data that shows that women leaders do so well compared to their male counterparts. Companies tend to do well when women are hired. It still does not kind of compute as to why you would then not want to have women in leadership roles. But moving on, and this is now my last question to you.
One last bit. Our
Sure.
industry, the executive search industry, has been completely impartial right from the day one I've been seeing it. In fact, it's been dominated by women. Okay, if you look at any organization, whether it is a staffing company or a mid-level recruitment or a boutique firm or an executive search, whether the big four, I think you'll find easily a 50-50 ratio of men and women.
Okay, that's one segment at least, where there is an equal partnership for women.
Yes.
But now this is my last question to you. And this is to do with insights into the Indian leadership landscape. As a top career and talent advisor, senior candidates, you have over 20, 30 years of experience working with a diverse range of clients, including Indian conglomerates, blue chip MNCs, mid-sized firms across industrial and consumer segments. How do you view the current state of Indian corporate leadership landscape and the talent marketplace? And what are the unique challenges that are facing the industry today, especially as India prepares for global economic growth, which is at the intersection of technology and innovation?
See, there are two or three issues to this. One is each of the industries is facing their own challenges as far as the leadership pipeline is concerned. Okay, I'll take from the segments I look at. I look at industrial and consumer segments. So typically, if you look at the steel industry, there is a lacuna as far as leadership is concerned. Okay, so what they have done, they have fallen back. They have retained people who are still 60, 65 years, and they've been doing a fairly good job. Okay, they're industry because people stopped joining steel industry 20 years back, 15 years back. The GETs from the campuses, they all went out towards technology companies. There were no takers for this. Okay, now they've woken up 5 years back. They started building a strong engineer training program. Though they had the programs in place, people from premier institutes never joined them. Okay, that is one. This is true for 3 or 4 other sectors as well. Second thing, India is known as the pipeline for global leaders. The Unilevers, ITCs, Tatas, they have produced excellent leaders today. They are doing global roles across. Having said that, last 4 to 5 years, we are finding that in the new generation of leaders, the people who are there in their early 30s, mid 30s, we find that they've been inspired by the success stories of their, peers and their superiors. So there is sort of an impatience which has crept in. Okay, so we have seen that the media outbursts of the young CEOs, which has happened in the last 7, 8 months, the way they've handled the layoffs, they could have done it in a much more matured way. publicly announcing it, handing out public pink slips publicly. So that emotional quotient is lacking in some of the new leaders who is coming. People are asking us, find people with pedigree, experience, but at the same time who are emotionally stable, who are mature. That last part is somewhere, we seem to be missing in everyone. There are a few ones, there are gems we need to carefully, pick them up.
Unearth them. Yeah.
Unearth them. But this may be an area of concern going ahead.
That makes your job all the more tough. But we wish you all the success, Shreehari. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, and for being so candid about how organizations are actually working towards enabling women, and maybe some organizations who still have a road to traverse. Thank you very much for speaking to us here at the Economic Times, for your thoughts and for your time today.
Thank you, Miloni. Pleasure conversing with you.